Hello guys, hope everyone's doing well. Today I am going to give you a little tutorial on how I edit on my iPhone. Some of my friends were actually asking me on what apps I use and how to do certain things because I normally do a relatively good job, I'd like to think, on editing my photos when I upload on the fly and I'm in the field. So I'm going to show you my little Atort photo folder, and this has my apps. So Atort is my nickname essentially, and it's my business name, atortphotography.com. If you guys want to see, I sell a lot of prints on that website as well, so ship all over the place and hopefully supply beauty and color therapy to a lot of people, which is pretty cool, sharing your vision with others. But again, regardless, I have this Camera Plus app, and this I essentially use only for the macro mode. Camera Plus to me is a capturing app, and as you see, it does a pretty good job of getting really close to certain things that are really small. So a cool little macro option for that. So that's that. Circular Text is a watermarking app. iWatermark is my go-to. And Diptych is essentially for collages. Lightroom is Lightroom. You guys should be familiar enough with that. Polar is a really cool app that I am a fan of. Procam, I don't use that often, honestly. Retouch is a killer app I've been using forever, and even back in the gimmicky days, but that's a cool app if you need to remove something. It works really, really well. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it is a cool app. And maybe if I do have an image that needs a little removal of something, I'll show you. But Snapseed, hands down, is my go-to app. So without further ado, let's go and click on Snapseed. I'm holding the camera in vertical orientation only for the sake of the video. So I flew my drone yesterday and I took some shots during sunset. So this is an example of a shot I have. And as you see, I think I used the smart photo feature, which is, essentially almost like an HDR, kind of does a little bit of a neutral exposure for something. And I just play around with it and see. But as you see, my last edits turn that image into this. And as you see, also, I can go ahead and add a little bit more saturation if I wanted. For example, I can go ahead and sharpen it a teeny bit. For example, I can export it. And then I can go ahead and go into iWatermark. I'm just hammering through it to show you like my speed when I'm doing something. I can click on the image, select it with a little check mark, hit done. Click watermark. I already have a pre-saved watermark, so this is a lower opacity with my website, atortphotography.com, and I can go, maybe I don't want that one, maybe I want to go back, select the watermark, go back to recent, click that photo, and I can watermark the photo, but I believe I'm going to select lower opacity Atort. No, it's this one right here. So Atort Photography. So this is 100% opacity, just solid white, and not the .com, just my name, or my photography name, I should say. And that's it. Place that right there, hit the save button, save the camera roll, and voila, it's in the camera roll. So now I have this photo here, and that was essentially this, and now it's that. So a little love, a little a little color in the sky, a watermark, and it can go onto Facebook or wherever I want to. It doesn't necessarily mean it's amazing, ready for print. That I would take onto my computer and do. But that's just a general idea of how I utilize my iPhone. So again, something like this, I can turn into this. So that is through Snapseed as well, and it's essentially the same kind of workflow. So let's go in and get a new image. I'm going to go in the Snapseed. I'm going to go to Open, and I'm going to get some kind of image that I haven't done anything to. So let me see, what would a good image be? Oh, not a night image. Okay, so let's grab an image that I haven't worked on yet, and I can even choose something like this, another picture of the Hancock. But as you see, I'm just going to show you. So we have this button on the lower left that says looks. I can depress that. I can use my last set of edits, which is too much. So I'm going to click out of that. I can go to smooth, which is kind of cool. You just kind of essentially see that it's taking you in the right direction, especially if you're using a preset. Sometimes the presets will work all right. Like that doesn't look horrible. It may need some refinement, but something like that is kind of cool actually. So say I'm going to stick with that, faded glow. So right off the bat, I can see the horizon isn't level. So from there, the first look tab, as I said, is where we get these looks, and you can sort through and see if any of them call your name and work well. I went ahead with that faded glow, and then from there, I can go in and go to rotate. So now I'm going to rotate this. It doesn't auto rotate, but I can scrub the screen with my thumb. So I have my thumb pressing on my display anywhere. It doesn't need to be in the image, and I'm going to the right and I'm going to the left. I don't obviously need to do all of that. I'm just going to go ahead and level it out like there, maybe even a little bit more. Sometimes it can look deceiving, but that's level and looks good visually to me. I'm going to hit the little check mark on the lower right, and boom. So I'm going to go in the tools now, and tune image essentially is where everything is. So that, I mean, not everything, but everything that I need 90% of the time. So here I'm going to touch the screen with my thumb, and I'm pressing, and then I could scrub up and down. So my finger's going up to bring the menu down, and down to bring the menu up. It's counterintuitive, I know, but you'll easily see. And again, playing with the app and using the app, this will all be second nature, and you won't even need to have any kind of explanation. So I'm going to go into saturation, and then I'm going to scrub. I'm going to hold long press onto the display, and then I'm going to go to the right. And as you see on the top, you have that little bar, saturation going plus 57, saturation going minus 56. And I'm just going to bring it up somewhere higher, honestly, maybe 45. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe check. Let me see shadows if I bring the shadows down a little. That's kind of cool. Maybe, let me see. Maybe minus 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and see, just so I can show you, got warmth, shadows, highlights, so highlight recovery, shadows. A lot of times this will like pull in the black a little bit, so you have, you don't want an image with no shadows. That looks horrible. Ambience, I don't really use that often. Saturation, contrast, and brightness. So pretty simple. There's an auto little feature here with this little magic wand. I don't use that either. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the check mark. From there, on the top, right to the left of this little eye, you can also undo each command, as you see, or I could redo. So don't worry, I can redo it all. No more to redo, so that's where my current state is at, or I could revert back. But from here, the next key thing I would do most likely is go to details. So details is your sharpening area. So structure is more of a high radius type sharpening. And with like buildings like this, the building can deal with the high radius sharpening because it's a metal object essentially. But a lot of times the sky will get weird if you start using a high radius sharpening. So maybe I don't want to do that. This is more of a low radius sharpening. It's almost like an unsharp mask with a low radius. That's how I would look at sharpening, not the structure side of it. And maybe just go up a little bit, maybe like 10 even. And then I can click out of there. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, I think that looks really good compared to, I'm going to save this so save a copy always. I don't write over that image. So save a copy. That will save another copy into your camera roll. And then I can go and revert back. And look, boom. So from there to there, that's pretty huge difference. Again, let me show you again. Revert, crooked, not a lot of color or contrast or pop. Gonna undo that. Boom. Now we have an image that actually looks like it could be printed or sold, or at least promoted in the right way. And then from there, I can go to iWatermark, select the photo, go to recently added, click that image. There's a check mark right there to the lower right. Hit done, and then watermark image. And boom, that's what we do. Or maybe I can, play with the watermark, put it over here, put it over there, put it in your underwear. I goof around like that with my mom a lot, who has dementia. Any kind of goofy thing helps them laugh. It's almost like a kid-like state. But regardless, something like that. I don't know where I'd want it. Maybe, I don't know where it looks good. Maybe off to the right a little bit. So something like that. The watermark, honestly, all the little details is what sets your images apart, in my opinion. Even the watermark placement can be a part of that. But anyway, save the camera roll. Done. And now we have, boop, there we go. So now we have that. And now what we can do is another option creatively. We can go in like diptych or something and say we want to go and pick something like this, because I know I have a vertical shot. So maybe I use this image for the vertical. And then I can use that image for that. And then maybe I can use this image here. But you see how we can create and get cool posts for social media, or just cool content for promoting our website or business. So from here, we could even go into the frame area, or not here. I think this is it. So we can go ahead and do something like that, round, square, do less of a border, change the color to maybe black. Black would be kind of cool, maybe. Maybe I'm going to go back to size. Like that looks kind of cool with a thick frame, honestly. In a weird way. Let me see. No, not too thick. So maybe something like that. Let me try the... That's pretty cool in a weird way too. But you see what I was talking about. You can play and get super creative with all of this. So now we have another post, say for Instagram or something with a square. So save image, boom, diptych rocks. And now we go over here and we have yet another image. And now we can watermark that one as well by going in the I watermark, select image, recently added, boom, boom, or maybe right here. Yeah, I'll put it on the nicer the images. And then save the camera roll, and there we have it once again. And again, this is playing around with the app. The only way to get good with the app is using it. And I'm telling you, the best way to do it is when you have downtime, if you're winding down and you're in your bed or something at night, pick an image and see what you can do and how far you can get with the image that may look kind of boring. So something ordinary turn into something extraordinary, for example. So say, let me find an image over here. Although the building is a nice thing to use because it actually shows you basically what you can do with the image. So I'll show you this image. So now the look area, I can go into here. I can try the last edit that I just did. And I don't really like that for this particular image. I can go into accentuate, see if one of these maybe pull it in. The building's looking too yellow. So I'm going to just manually go in and play around with this. So I'm going to go in the tune image. I'm going to go in the brightness. The brightness is kind of where it's at. I kind of think the shadows can be lowered a little because the building should look blackened essentially. This guy right here, the Hancock building. I know I can get away with like some sharpening because the building, again, any kind of metal object can deal with a lot of sharpening in general. I can go to white balance. I could maybe see if the white balance can change anything. That was auto white balance. So maybe like that, a little bluer kind of is nice. So maybe I'm going to start over there. Even increase the sharpening a little bit more. But as you see in tools, you have different things. You have details, which we talked about. That's essentially your sharpening zone. Tune image is essentially all your other settings, like your basic general exposure, control, saturation, all of those kinds of things. Curves, which is obviously curves for those who are familiar. So we can go into each individual channel, like red. I can add a little bit more red or take away red, blah, blah, blah. Green, same thing. Add more green, take away green. But that's just something to be conscious of. I use this a lot of times for just tuning the red and the blue. If it looks a little too whatever. That's a whole color correction thing. So from there, white balance, same kind of thing. You can go in here and do your auto white balance or use an eyedropper or just manually go in and adjust your temperature and tint. So be familiar with that. You do use that crop. You can crop, of course, like a square crop or something for Instagram or whatever. So you have different crops over there. Rotate, again, be familiar with this. Rotate your image to make sure your horizons are level. It's really annoying when they're not, and it does set you apart from the rest, all these little details. Perspective is good for certain things. I can literally just grab this and raise it up a little bit. So maybe that actually helps too. Maybe it doesn't. I'm going to undo it. I think it does help. I'm going to redo it. Boom. There it is. So that's a real life example of maybe perspective if you have a building involved. Expand I don't use. I think that just expands the canvas if you need a crop. And it doesn't always do a good job, but it kind of is fun, maybe visually. But anyway, I'm not going to go into there. I don't use expand hardly ever. Selective, I use all the time. Not necessarily for this image, but I can go ahead. Right now you see this little plus sign is blue. That means I can add a point. I can go ahead and add a point here. And now I can pinch with my two thumbs. I have both of my thumbs to the right and left of the B. And I could zoom in, meaning like pull both of my thumbs away from each other and push them into each other to get the selection exactly where I want it. So say I just want to affect the building. I can go ahead and desaturate that. So I can go, I got brightness, saturation, contrast, and structure. So I'm going to go into saturation and I'm going to pull to the left to get rid of that yellow. So my thumb is pulling away, removing all the saturation, and then maybe I'm going to hit the structure a little bit to add a bit more sharpening. But that is an example. Now look what just happened. So I'm going to go before, the yellow on the building, after. I mean, they both honestly work. It's not that big of a deal. I don't know what I like more. I'm just going to leave it like that as shot. But there you have it. Maybe I can go ahead and add a little bit more saturation now to the whole image. Like that. And the sky kind of comes together a little bit more. And now maybe I can go ahead and hit the selective area and get rid of some of this. Now, as you see, I can fine tune with this crosshair exactly the color I want to affect. So I want this yellowy kind of thing to be affected. And that's what it's affecting. That sounds funny, but that's exactly what it's going to be desaturating or making the effect. So I'm going to go ahead and desaturate this and boom. So now I have the color in the entire image with that I wanted with the little saturation tweak I just made. So I went ahead and undo. I'm going through it kind of quickly, I know. I'm going to undo again. So I went ahead and redid. So that was in a saturation overall to the entire image. And then I went ahead and used the selective feature just to target that yellow area on the Hancock building. And I'm going to go ahead and boom. So now the sky looks great. Look at that. Nice. And then the building doesn't look too yellow because I did that saturation move. So now I'm going to export this and save a copy. And there we go. And now I'm going to go into iWatermark, select that photo. Recently added, click that, and watermark. And there we go. Save that guy. And that's how you use your iPhone creatively to edit. Now, mind you, let's look at this again. I'm going to show you the beginning. So revert back, boom. So look at that image, which isn't bad. You can tweak that and maybe not make it look as, altered, or processed or whatever you want to say. But at the same time, I like my stuff more vibrant and poppy. I kind of say it's color therapy. I'm going to undo this. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just so much more appealing to me. And that was with basically a minute of editing in Snapseed. So I'm going to go ahead and undo one more time. Whoop. Revert, I should say. So before, after. And again, it's based on your taste and preference. This is my taste and preference. The other one worked too. And really, when you're selling a print, it's the client. If they want something like this, that's what I'm going to market, so be it. But if they want something a little bit less, or they see it on social media or something, and I posted something before I edited it, then so be it as well. And I can go ahead and do this one and get that ready for print. But I like this guy, and that's what I would market and put on my website. So I hope this helps. And you can even do stuff like this. Like if I go ahead and want to make a post, I can go and do this and do a screenshot. And now I have an Instagram post. So I can go over here, maybe go into edit, crop this thing so I don't have the black on here. Hit done. And this is just using the built-in iOS editor. Now I can go into my Instagram account, which is Atort_photography. I'm going to go ahead and get my connection back. Hopefully I'm not getting interrupted. And doing a shot like this. Let me see if I can tweak it a little bit. See, now it's going back yellow again a little, but I don't care. It's an Instagram post. It doesn't really matter that much. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe do a vignette like that. Maybe maybe make it a little yellow. I don't know, maybe make it a little bit more yellow. But you see what I'm saying? You can kind of, no, not saturation. You can keep on going with it, but I hope this helps. And here, let me go ahead and do Chicago. And then my little hashtag, Atort Photography. Chicago, I can spell. Maybe Chi-Town. Mavic Air 2. Beauty. I'll put Aloha because I'm from Hawaii, not originally, but been living there for a long time. Put Chicago, and then boom. And now we have a post. Pretty nice, right? So if you're on Instagram, follow me. Appreciate the love and support, guys. And I hope this helps you guys get editing on your iPhone and mobile devices because it's super powerful. And whether you're on Android or whatever, Snapseed is killer. Super intuitive, actually, once you start playing around with it. And that's it. Really, that's all you need to know. I mean, you can play with other things. There's Vignette, which I use on occasion. You can do like an inner vignette and an outer vignette, that kind of thing. So you can scrub up and you get two options, inner brightness and outer brightness. So you could use this creatively, maybe if you want to add a little bit more brightness to an area in an image. But again, just play around and try them all. Try drama and glamour glow, and healing actually does work as well. So healing is a cool little thing. Like if I wanted to just go ahead and take away the antenna, you could do that. But I'm not going to because it would be destroying the aesthetics of this building. But anyway, guys, aloha, subscribe, and happy editing. Shoots.